Okay guys, so I'm excited because I'm going to be helping to teach you guys about American government. If you're watching this just because you need it to help your classes, then that's great. If you want to be a more educated American citizen, that's also great. I'm going to teach American politics in a way you've probably never heard it before, American government in a way that you've probably never heard it before. I like to break things down, okay, to their basic sort of core fundamental roots. A lot of American government classes never do that, and I think we really need to get back to basics in America if we're going to understand the way our government works and the way it should work, right? So before I launch into the Constitution, I think it's important to sort of step through what the branches of government actually are. We have 3 of them, okay? And the most important, according to the Founding Fathers, usually referred to as the preeminent branch or the first branch, is Congress. So today I want to just briefly touch on Congress, what it does and why it's so important. In my next video, I'm going to talk about what the Constitution says Congress can and cannot do. And this is really, really critical for American citizens today. Okay, so let's talk about Congress. What is Congress? Well, Congress is the legislative branch. What is a legislative branch? Well, let's look at the word. Legislate means to make law. So Congress is the branch of government that is tasked with making law. It's as simple as that. Now, why is Congress considered the most important branch, or why was it considered the first branch of government? Okay, remember that legislate means to make law, and Congress is the legislative branch, meaning it is the one branch tasked with making law. Now, the point of government is to make law. Why? To protect us and to protect our private property. Congress is the only branch that can make law, which is why it is the most important branch. So if you think about it, the other 2 branches would have nothing to do if this central sort of linchpin branch didn't exist, right? If we didn't have a branch making law, then the executive branch would have no laws to execute, and the judicial branch would have no laws to judge by, right? So, why then is Congress so important? Well, Congress is so important because, as I just said, it's the branch that makes law. But number 2, it's the branch that's most directly tied to or connected to the people. All right, and this is really critical. Congress is the branch that we delegated the power to make law. We, the people, knew we needed some sort of government, some sort of laws to protect us and our private property from each other. So we created Congress. Well, we created government, but we created the legislative branch to make the laws that protect us. So we are wanting to be directly tied to them so that we can make sure that they make laws that we want. And it is the branch that makes law because it's the branch most connected to us. And it is most connected to us because it's the branch that makes law. It's a very circular sort of position. This is where we talk about delegated power. And there's actually an old saying that delegated power cannot be delegated. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is, if I have the power, say as a teacher, to give a student the ability to make sure everyone has a pencil in class, well, that student doesn't have the ability to give that power away to another student. Why? Because that power is not hers in the first place. That is my power that I allowed her to use on my behalf. In the same way, Congress is given the power by us, we the people, to make laws to protect us. Now, when Congress decides to violate that and decides to give that power to make law to any other branch of government, they have violated a very fundamental core principle of American political thought, right? They no longer represent us anymore. Now, people who don't represent us have the power to make laws that are supposed to take care of us and represent us. And this is why it's so critical for every single one of you to understand the sort of idea of delegated power not being delegated. Because we now see the executive branch and the judicial branch acting as if they are also the legislative branch, when they are not. And they're also not elected by us. So, what I want to leave you guys with, and this is important, is that Congress is the most important branch of government. It is the linchpin of government. Where Congress goes, the rest of government goes, because it's the branch that makes the law, which means that the constitutional confines of Congress are far more important than really any other constitutional confines. Because if Congress made no law, there would be no job for the executive or the judicial to do. But when Congress makes law, if they make law that violates the Constitution, they are actually pushing the other two branches to also violate the Constitution. So in my next video, I've sort of laid this foundation here so that you will understand the importance of Article 1 in the Constitution, the article that defines for Congress what Congress's job is. Okay, so I hope this all makes sense, and let's get ready for our next video.